Crypto is going to go to 10 trillion baby dolls. Okay. I'm here 18 hours a day. I've shown you a lot of the stuff I cover. I mean, when the government doesn't want you to know something, they kill the dude. They discredit the person, right? You have anything from Bob Lazar, Phil Schneider, a lot of these dudes talking about alien tech and alien stuff. Yeah, the government literally wipes out your existence or just literally kills you themselves. There you go. Okay, so no one's getting killed for saying Bitcoin's the future. You know what I mean? No one's getting killed for saying Ethereum is going to go up. No one. We're all welcoming them in, which means the government, they can control this. Like, we're destined for hire. We're destined to pump, which is what we want. Isn't that what you want? Fuck everyone else. Leave them in the rat race. They're sitting in the hotel cuck chair. They got pencil necks, noodle arms, paint their own fingernails. They're sucking off the LA vape cabal. All right? That's the best case scenario. Worst case, they're still stuck in the TradFi system. They're getting debased 8% per year. So, you know what I mean? They believe a bat had sex with a Pokeball and gave the zombie virus in 2020 naturally and organically. You know what I mean? These people are beyond help. So, in crypto, remember, like, we're only worth like 3 trillion-ish now. You know, we're going to 10 trillion. You know, the government, that's it, friends. They know how to control it. They can control it. BlackRock's in. Everyone's in. We're just pumping. That's it. So when they don't want you to know something, like the deep underground military bases, where the alien UFO tech is, the hangars and everything out here, they literally, like the CIA, they got a method, man. I've seen the method so many times. Like, we know what it is. Either it's a straight bullet in the head, or you start drinking water, you know, someone spiked your water, you get basically metallic poisoning, you start going loopy. Look what happened to Nikolai, rest in peace, Nikolai. You start going loopy for about 1 or 2 months, you literally start getting delusional. Yeah, you don't know what's going on, right? You don't know that your water supply is spiked. You start going loopy and delusional, everyone's like noticing you're erratic, then they end up literally ending you. And it's like, oh, that person was going loopy, something was wrong with them. You know, no one's disappearing when they say Bitcoin's going to flip the US dollar. You know, oh, Bitcoin's going to take over the world. No one's disappearing, bro. You know what I mean? It means we're destined to go up. We ain't flipping. We're not going to take over the US dollar. We are becoming TradFi ourselves. Yeah, the money's just coming in. There's going to be a bridging system. There's going to be cyclical waves. So God bless every single one of you. Remember, crypto's the future. We're winning. Because like you front run all the rats. That's it. You know, the rats sink on the sinking ship. We're front running them. There you go. All the wealth's going to move in. And then all the late billionaires, they're going to find a way to scam the rest of the rats. And they're going to convince them, and they got all the access to the media. They're just going to convince them that they're getting a good deal. But they're getting like rebased 4-to-1. You know, so the late billionaires to crypto and everything out here, they'll find a way to scam everybody still in the system. But you and I, we don't need to worry about that. We're going to make it. So this is what ultimately guides me. When I show you something like this, when I say crypto to 10 trillion, friends, this is what we're talking about. Okay, crypto is like, you know, like I showed you, around 3 trillion, up 10 trillion up here. We have these narratives that are running around. You know, but look how big the world is on the left, friends. Stocks are 150 trillion. Gold is 22. Bonds are 200, right? And bonds, friends, bonds are literally just paper fiat claims. It's people giving money to the government to get guaranteed yield. That's literally all a bond is, okay? Now, bonds are nice and safe if you're, you know, towards, I guess, if you're over 50, over 60, because you don't mind losing a bit of purchasing power. You don't mind that because at least you have like guaranteed purchasing power loss. You don't have to worry about like an 80% drawdown wipeout or whatever, you know? If you're in a lot of stocks, you can worry about that. It can happen to you, you know? Because the stock market, out of the past 120 years, out of like whatever, 30 scenarios, the 29 out of 30 times you've made money in a 10-year period, okay? You buy anywhere, S&P 500, all right? Only. Don't touch the other, you know, the CAC 40 from France or anything other shit, okay? S&P 500. The 1 out of 30 cases was the Great Depression. It didn't take 10 years to come back, took 17 years just to get back to break even, okay? So, I mean, look at those odds, right? That's still, that might give you terror because every time you have a crash, if you're 65 years old and the stock market's on a 25% drawdown, there's too much terror in your heart. You're like, man, if this is Great Depression, you're literally wrecked. You're ruined. That's why they have bonds, the 60-40 traditional portfolio, right? That's what all these money and these bonds are storing wealth in doing, okay? Now, what Michael Saylor's trying to do is trying to make everybody FOMO in and do stuff that pretty much get them to FOMO in. And friends, you know how I've shown you up here the narratives. You know the Bitcoin treasury bubble. What is the Bitcoin treasury bubble? Okay, so I'll tell you exactly what it is. Michael Chad Saylor, pew, cybernetic hornet's nest, Michael Chad Saylor has found a way, financial alchemy. He just, as simple as this. You know, bond guys, they can only buy bonds. Yeah, they can only buy debt bonds. All right? Part of the company policy, whatever it is. All he did was he made a bond for them. You know, he literally made a bond for them. It's like, let's say you're a company, you're a hedge fund. You can only buy companies listed on the CME stock, on the New York Stock Exchange, right? Literally the New York Stock Exchange. You can only buy companies there. You're not allowed to buy, you know, PDI or Pulse Chain. You're not allowed to buy that. So it comes to policy. Imagine you literally made a stock, yeah, and then one stock entitles you to one token. There you go, of your altcoin. Yeah. So you go, hey, I'll give you a stock. You get to vote in the company, but if you own the stock, you also own one of the tokens. Yeah, you get a right. So if you buy 100 stocks, you get 100 PDI, for example. Yeah. So effectively what you've done is you've found a way, financial alchemy, to list a stock on the stock market, which is literally just an altcoin. Yeah. So what you're doing is you're tapping into altcoin demand in this example from people who can only look at the stocks. Okay. Michael Chad Saylor can see that there's $200 trillion storing in bonds. So what he's done is he goes, well, let's make a bond, a MicroStrategy bond that for them, where basically we'll just buy Bitcoin with your money, right? And just put it on the balance sheet. You see? Just tapping into different avenues. So, and pretty much there's a big product market fit for that, right? Which is kind of fun. Let's play some Pumpy music. It's funny because you're like, bro, are you guys that lazy? You still can't figure out how to buy crypto, sign up to an exchange? Yeah. Yeah, people just love buying high, friends. People love 15 confirmations. They love buying high. They love everyone coming out on TV and saying, this is the best idea in the world. They love that. They love that. I don't like that. And everything I've shown you is that you should be running away from stuff like that. You're like, uh-oh, watch out. The only thing that it's okay to do stuff so historically, S&P 500. That's it. Because it's a whole index, number one. Number two, America's got all the UFO tech, black budget, 21 trillion missing. They got the money printer. It'll eventually come back, okay? And they're debasing the population anyway. But the S&P 500 is not a stock, you know? Yeah. If there's a recession reset, the index, you'll be selling the losers and it buys the winners who recover, you know? So it's very unique, but it is there for you. So these narratives, they're all booked, friends, you know? Like, no one's getting, friends, no one has a bullet in the heart from a mysterious coconut intelligence agency operative because they spoke about meme coin SuperCycle, you know? What about StableCoin SuperCycle? Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, Nikolai's dead, all right? Nikolai, the guy who made MakerDAO, he's dead, okay? Just so we have one, but just, you know, that might tell you why nobody wants to claim ownership of PDI. No one owns it, you know? It's on Pulse Chain. Just a P token. It's unstable. Not even a stable coin. It's an unstable coin. Okay, just telling you. See? But everybody else, stablecoin SuperCycle, no one's worried. Friends, is the government taking down Ripple because Ripple want to do their own stablecoin? No. What about Tether? What happened to Tether running a Ponzi? By the way, at one point they were, you know, they were unbacked. They were unbacked in 2017. Do you know that? They were only backed like 70%. So if Bitcoin went down, I think in the 2017 bull market, when it was like 5K, if it went down and stayed down on 1K, I think that was when they were actually unbacked. So, but yeah, Bitcoin didn't go down from 5K. Actually went up to 20. You know, and they own the BTC. Okay, so it's kind of funny how, you know, these things. If you're a Ponzi, you still get saved. So this is the BTC chart. Yeah, I think from I saw from the documents, I think it was 2017. Somewhere here, Tether was unbacked, but then Bitcoin went up high enough for them. Interesting, right? No one's getting killed for that though. Tether literally have the fancy banana investigators and the coconut intelligence agency hired. They literally made a whole article bragging about it. They go, hey, we've hired them. I always wondered, right? Why tell the world that you hire them? Why tell everybody? And then I realized, oh, I know why. That's their way of showing we're not going under, man. We're not running a Ponzi. See? Huh? We got the deep state. We got the Coconut Intelligence Agency in. You know what I mean? They've made a deal. What about the Bitcoin treasury bubble? It's exactly what we spoke about. That's tackling the bonds. What about the crypto IPO bubble? All right. Crypto IPO bubble, that's part of the stocks, isn't it? Crazy, fans. This might be like, it's shaping up. Technically, we should all get rich. I mean, look at these, fans. Look at these. Okay, you have meme coin SuperCycle, ultra risk, right? You have StableCoin SuperCycle, which is tackling the cash. See this cash, 90 trillion? That's StableCoin SuperCycle, okay? You have Bitcoin treasury bubble, that's tapping to the bonds. The crypto IPO bubble with these stocks like Circle and Coinbase and stuff out here, that's tapping into stocks here, okay? Right? So stablecoin SuperCycle, by the way, is tapping into cash. And what's meme coin SuperCycle? Well, that's its own, you know, it's memes, brother. You know what I mean? You've never seen anything like it. You see what I mean? So like we're literally eating the world here when it comes to that. That's why I really like, I know there's technicals and, oh, maybe the cycle's over, whatever. I just, bro, it's made us wait too long and AI's taken over the world and government is not assassinating people in cryptocurrency industry at all. They've done the opposite. They've accepted it. Trump's in, his family's in, everyone's in, the SEC, Paulie Boo Atkins. They're allowing stablecoins. Yeah, there's the Evil Genius Stablecoin Act. Okay, there's back and forth, whatever, but you know what I mean? I've been here, fans, I'm here 18 hours a day, okay? So, like, look, by the way, I invite anyone, okay? You got 18 hours a day? Go and make a channel for me to watch in my spare time because I want to watch other high-value content in crypto. Okay? You'll come to the same conclusions I have, okay? In literally 98, 99% of it, yeah? So you'll see, oh, that's weird. UFO guy gets leaked, ends up dead. This guy discredited. This guy the government hates. You're not allowed to say his name. Okay, they're in one box, and then that's weird. The government likes crypto. The government wants crypto. The government says they'll buy Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Huh? The government is promoting it. All the states are voting it in. StableCoin SuperCycle. Treasury Secretary Percent. They're literally frothing at the mouth at StableCoin SuperCycle. Do you know that? Of course they are. Because what do you do with the stable coins? They go and buy US treasuries. So now the US government is like, okay, cool. If we allow stablecoin SuperCycle, everyone in the world wants US dollars. Because why would you hold? You don't want the Aussie dollar. You don't want the Kiwi. You don't want the pound. You don't want any of the other risk on currencies. Why? Because if you're risk on, you hold S&P 500. You hold crypto. If you're risk off, you don't want to hold their currencies because they have a lot of debt in US dollars. So US dollars gets more scarce, more rare. So you want to hold US dollars if the money printer goes down. They get more scarce. Yeah, 50% of the world debt is in US dollars. So the US government wins, okay? They solidify their dominance, okay? 85% of the world trading volume is US dollars, okay? And 50% of all the debt in the world, like I just told you, is in US dollars as well. So stablecoin SuperCycle, that means everybody who collects a stablecoin has to go buy US treasuries. They'll probably write that into the bill. There you go. They have a bid for themselves. Okay, so it's a win-win for them. Now you get to see why we're destined to pump. Like they want us to pump. Yeah. So just waiting for this business cycle now here. So what I've shown you, friends, this is my life's work here. 18 hours a day. This is what I do. So like friends, of course, I wake up every day, you know, I want to trade. I want to trade. I'm having all these memories. Okay. I'm like, oh, I just want to trade. I want to do every single day. Cause I was a day trader, man. What is it? 8, 9, 10 years, literally full time. That's all I did. But I have to keep telling myself, man, I know, friends, I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting here tweaking my nipples and I come across Raoul Pal, someone else who says like, I did the most amazing trade. I bought the bottom and I sold the top in crypto one cycle. And he goes, but then I calculated how much I would have if I never sold and I just left all of it in and I wrote all of it down and all the way up. They go, I'd be like literally 8 times richer. And I'm like, whoa, this guy smashed at one cycle. They bought and sold. Yeah, but see, that's the thing, friends. Catching a fart in a jar is very tough. Okay? Catching a fart in a jar. That's playing one cycle perfectly, okay? If you try to catch a fart in a jar twice, good luck. You won't do it, okay? Literally astronomical odds here. That's multiple cycles, okay? Yeah, you might be able to buy the bottom, sell the top, near the top in one cycle, but to do it multiple times, you won't. Friends, I'm not going to name names, but there are some popular KOLs. You can see their appetite for risk is gone. You could say that because they made too much money in the last cycle. You see that? They're gone. I mean, look around you. A lot of their appetite for risk is gone. They don't want to touch altcoins. Ethereum's let them down. They're in Bitcoin and Solana. Oh, pro adoption. They want more confirmation. Friends, Arthur Hayes, Crypto Kobe, billionaire. Ivan on tech. Ivan's probably worth $250 million or something. Okay. I mean, Ivan's, think about this. Ivan, if you want a 60-minute video on Ivan's channel, it's $100,000. Okay, Ivan's interviews themselves, 50 to 100K. He won't talk to you. There's too much of a high bid for him. Okay, Ivan, our dear friend Ivan, won't even buy a bottom. Okay, same as Crypto Kobe, a billionaire, and Arthur Hayes, also a billionaire. All of them from crypto. Yeah, so they literally, perfect example, right? When we have Pulse Chain Coins, Hex, PHEX, Inc. Obviously, we have PDI and stuff out here as well. See, when I see something like this, okay, friends, I'm always licking my lips. I'm like, oh, imagine it goes back to the high. That's 3 cents, yeah? But for them, they don't want to do it. I've read commentary from Crypto Kobe, from Arthur Hayes, from the bottom of the bear market. They're literally basically saying, like, in their own words, each person said, I just don't have the stomach to buy these bottoms anymore. I would rather, so Bitcoin was like 16 to 20K. They were literally pretty much in their own interpretation. They're saying, I'd rather buy Bitcoin at 40 than buy it here. Literally their own words, by the way. Literally, Bitcoin was 20K. They would rather pay up 2x higher just because they don't have to deal with that extreme mess. But here's the thing. If you want a lot of confirmations, you will get lower upside. That's what we know, right? So, it pretty much, the poorer you are, the higher the rank you want to climb, the more risk you got to take, which means you got to do more work. We got to do more research. And yeah, it's gonna kick you in the nuts and your ovaries at the same time. That's why sitting in this depression zone out here. So you've learned a lot, almost too much. Like, subscribe, belly button, or catch you soon.